Okay. Take it away, Mr.
Very
Murray.
good. Good evening, everybody. I'll call the meeting to order and we'll salute the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I need a motion to accept the revised meeting agenda.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the previous minutes.
So move.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Treasurer's report and warrants.
So move. Second.
Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Connell, if you'd like to introduce.
Yes, so we've asked Mr. Schmidt, who's a school resource officer presently at Harrisville, and was our DARE coordinator here. And we asked him to come tonight just to share a little bit about the role of a school resource officer. So we had an idea. Everybody move. Keith, there we go. So anyway, he's here tonight. I think it looks like from the looks of it, his office at Harrisville Central School. And take it away.
All right. Good evening. I'm actually in Mr. Luther's office. Regarding the SRO program, first, let's start out. I've been with the department about 20 years. I've been with youth aid in our department for 18. I've been a sergeant for about 12 years, handling the youth in the county. 4 years ago, I had a chance to be an SRO at South Louis, which I did there their first year. It's a very good program. I came to Harrisville because I'm 10 minutes from home. I've never worked that close to home living in Harrisville, so it's very nice, but South Louis is a great school. I did do the DARE program for about 7 years, which Copenhagen was assigned to me, and I'll say it is a very good school. It was one of the best ones to be at. It was very supportive of our department and what we taught the kids. So the SRO, basically, a lot of people ask me, what is it? It's a lot of everything. It's basically a mentor, counselor, an educator. A lot of times we look for teachable moments throughout the school day. It could be a bullying issue. A lot of times the disciplined person at the school will have us come in, talk to the child, not to scare or intimidate, but just to educate them. We're not here to arrest the kids. We're not here to write tickets. We're basically here just to help kids out. And that goes with staff too. I get a lot of staff questions as well. We're responsible for the safety, security, and welfare of the students, staff, and visitors. Hopefully, everybody has a list of things. I emailed Brenda a sheet with stuff that we provide to the schools. Did everybody get that? Yeah, good. All right. So I'm not going to read word for word off from it. I don't want to keep you any longer than you don't want to be here. But some things, the school Code Blue team, that's something we're trying to form in Harrisville, kind of piggybacks off in Carthage Central School. We live in an area where there's an ambulance can be 20 to 30 minutes away. Our ambulance here in Harrisville is not always staffed. So we kind of lean on our teachers and staff members that are EMT certifications, maybe volunteer firefighters, ex-military, school nurse to kind of help us out. So that's something we're trying to form here. We do keep track of sporting events. We attend the sporting events, athletic games, concerts, graduations, plays. We don't get paid overtime. What it is we flex our time. It's something we adopted from South Louis, where we might kill a couple hours during the day. We'll come in at 9 instead of 7, and then we'll stay later for the basketball games or play or graduation. We do drug education. We do touch on internet safety, social media safety. We've even done a babysitting course here in Harrisville. A lot of times, I know in South Louis, we have Deputy Tadashini down there now. He'll eat lunch with the kids, which is kind of a hit. And in Harrisville here, I kind of go in the gym classes, kind of throw the ball around the kids. A lot of times I'll be walking down the hall and the kids will actually come up and say, "Hey, can you shoot some hoops with me?" So it's a very good mentor program. This year's been big on truancy. Home visits have been huge. Here and South Louis, they're a little bigger district than us, but we do go out. It's been tough for everybody, but we do aid the school in truancy. We attend safety meetings, at-risk school, at-risk student meetings. We kind of get in maybe who's suffering from maybe mental health, maybe from a domestic situation, things like that. We're really one-on-one with the schools, or with the students, I'm sorry. Just the other day, we had a faculty member hit a deer, asking questions. What do I do? Help them out with the accident report. I mean, we're here just not for students, but we're here for staff as well. If you guys go the route of SRO, we just don't give you somebody. It's actually a committee. You have the undersheriff's in the meeting. I'm the SRO supervisor. I'm in the meeting. Investigators, other sergeants, and the school is welcome to come in. So if it's Mr. Connell, he comes in. After the interviews, the school has a last say who they want. So you get the pick of the litter. It's not, hey, we're going to give you this guy that's been on for 30 years. He's burnt out. It's not like that. So you guys actually pick who you would want.
Would we get to pick you?
Yeah. Well, I kind of laugh because there's always rumors about the budget. And I did ask Finster, said, hey, are you going to do the SRO thing next year? Because I may throw my name in the hat for Copenhagen. But he said, no, you're good. So hopefully that stays. But if not, I'll throw my name in the hat. We also go to monthly SRO meetings in Watertown. Watertown's there, Carthage, General Brown. We kind of get what's going on at their schools. That way we can get ahead of it before it gets to Copenhagen or Harrisville or South Louis. That's kind of the trend. It happens there first, like vaping. They really saw it kind of spike there. I wouldn't say we were ready for it, but we definitely knew it was coming. So that was good. Trainings. We attend active shooter trainings where it's single person response, which is great for the SROs. The chances of that is happening is very slim, but however, that person is trained to handle the situation being there. That's kind of a roundabout way of the SRO program. It's a lot of everything. You can kind of tailor it for the needs of the school. If you're having issues with something and that we may not have trouble with Harrisville or South Louis, that's something we can get something in there for you guys. So if you got any questions or whatever, go ahead and shoot.
Anybody got questions?
Not even one?
I have one. How much time do you estimate that you or Deputy Todashini spend in front of kids on direct education, regardless of whatever the topic is? How much time would you estimate that you're involved in direct education with the students?
It depends on the school. I would say at South Louis, you're probably in the class more than what Harrisville is. They have the 3 schools. I wouldn't say necessarily half the time, but We also have people that stop in our office and talk to us and ask us questions. It could be male or female having trouble in a relationship, or even faculty members, so I don't think we may not be in the class all the time, but if you want us in there a bunch, we'll be in there. But every day is a learning experience for everybody, and we kind of come in there and we're real flexible. So it's really hard to answer that as far as percentage wise, but if you guys want us in there 50% of the time, we can find something to do for 50% of the time in the classroom.
So you said that you flex your hours. So what would be if there weren't any sports, what were the hours? Are you there before school and is there an 8 hours?
It's usually, we work an 8-hour day. Let's say it's a Friday night and you got a basketball game. So we'll say, just for argument's sake, 3 hours. So during that week, we would either leave school an hour early one day or come in an hour late. And then we'll build up our time so we can work those 3 hours for that basketball game. It's usually a little more than that because you get there before everybody else gets there, and then you leave after everybody leaves. So it's usually a little longer than that.
Thanks.
Yep.
There is such a thing. I know every day probably is different, but could you describe what a typical day might be at Harrisville? Sure.
As far as Harrisville, every morning, I usually stand by one of the doors where the kids come in. I greet them with a hello. It's usually a first name basis, so it's very personalized with the kids and staff members. Basically, what we're told is the first thing they see when they come into school is your smiling face. So it kind of sets a positive tone for the school that day for them because you don't know what they came in from. So I usually start there. To back up, I usually do a little lap around the school first before everybody gets there, kind of make sure nothing is out of the ordinary. Then I'll greet the kids and staff, and then I'll go around the halls, talk to the kids, pop the gym classes. I'll go in the lunch class or lunchroom. If I'm using the fatal vision goggles, which the kids call it drunk goggles, we'll go into a health class, use those. It's a lot of everything. Every day is different. It's a lot of walking and talking, to be honest with you. You're really not in the office a whole lot.
Do you have a marked vehicle there?
I do have a marked vehicle right now. They're going to take it pretty soon because we got some new vehicles coming in. So I'll exchange my vehicle out for another one. So I might be without a vehicle for 2 weeks, but I do have a marked vehicle. We'll use that when we go out on house visits and things like that. So people know who we are when we pull in. I usually have an administrator with me when I go.
Any other questions?
Have you found yourself being able to identify potential situations that would have otherwise possibly have been missed? What are the things that we've been evaluating or looking at is it reasonable to assume based on your background or an officer's background that you hear things out of a different point of reference than, say, an educator would, or somebody who's not law enforcement? Have you found that you've identified things well in advance than somebody like me who just sees things at face value?
There's been different things, whether when we've gone through an evacuation looking for, teaching staff, like think outside the box, just don't take it for granted. You're gonna walk out, there's a power line there. There's been situations where kids with heavy jackets, puffy jackets walking down the hall when it's 70 degrees outside. There's, issues in the parking lot, we're kind of everywhere. Any one situation, we have made arrests for a terroristic threat in South Louis. My first year was there. I think that went pretty well. That went through social media. There's certain things that we teach staff to look for, comments, things written down on desks, things like that. Any one incident, I can't really think of one. We kind of go with the staff and help educate them on high in plain sight, basically what kids can do vaping, with clothing and book bags and hidden compartments. There's a lot of things out there that we make the staff aware of.
Thanks.
Yep.
Anybody else have a question? Now's your chance.
I have a question. When it comes to your standard operating procedures or how you handle a situation, I understand each one can be different, but do you have a guideline as far as that you guys go by that you can show the parents or let them, if people are uncomfortable with having a resource officer in the school?
Well, the administration has a lot more power than us in the school. They have the ability to go into a locker and search. We don't do that unless there is a weapon involved or drugs, something like that will be present for. We just don't go searching through lockers and stuff like that. There's protocols we go through. Anytime something happens at school, the school has the authority in it. And they kind of look into things and then they get us involved, whether it be a search or, basically to back up, what we do is the school will look into it. We'll call over, put everything in documentation at our job, at the sheriff's department. And then, we see where it goes from there. But we follow the protocols similar to what we do on the road patrol. We just document, we don't step over our limits. We just kind of, sometimes the school thinks, or not the school, the staff thinks that I'm part of administration and I'm not. We work hand in hand with administration to dealing with situations. And like I said, we look for those learning moments, teachable moments, so we can teach the kids how things could have went wrong. Or, hey, look, if this kid wanted to press charges or family, this is what you're looking at. But that's not our goal to start arresting kids and walking out in handcuffs.
No, I understand, but I'm just wondering, how do you relieve the tension of the parents when they start seeing an active, uniformed personnel in the school?
Well, since I've been here, there's only maybe one or two times where we had an upset parent. Not that you talk to the child, but I've never really had anybody come out upset that I'm there. If anything, when we have games and there's people from other counties that kind of they come up and they ask questions about, they're interested and they're actually for it. And a lot of people say, I wish our school would do that. It's actually been a very positive thing to have the students in here. We live in a kind of an old fashioned area and old school area. And I think a lot of people actually accept it and are very supportive of it.
Great. Thanks.
You betcha.
I think the thing that I noticed, and I had an opportunity to work with an SRO when I was at South Jeff, and the thing that I saw more than anything was just that relationship. Everybody's afraid of law enforcement. Rather than being afraid, they do learn that they're actually there to help. We see things on TV where they're, arresting people, but that's not, what 99% of the time they do. Most of the time, they're keeping peace officers, right? Keeping things like that. So I would do that so much there. I mean, I'm watching kids high five them down the hall, and I'm like, I guess when I was growing up as a kid, I was always like, man, they're the guys that are going to arrest me, and they're the bad guys. And it's so not that. And I think kids, when you grow up in that culture of trusting police officers and trusting those kind of things, you carry that out into your adult life, and that probably stops a lot of some of the things we see with people dealing with law enforcement. So that was the thing that I watched and was kind of amazed at what I saw. So, and I know Eric, and that's how he is. I watched him with our kids. I mean, he was just everybody's friend when he was here. So, and he promises if he'll be just like him. I mean, I appreciate the fact that we have a say, because I think the position's the position, but the person makes the position. You know, you just can't stick somebody in there and say, okay, you're the SRO, if they're not cut out to be that. And have a smile on their face every day and do those things. So I think it's important. If we move forward with it, it's got to be the right fit for us.
I've got a follow on from Keith. Is there any more chance that on the rare occasion that there was like a fight with some teenagers that they're going to have to face law enforcement charges because you're there over a normal case where there's a fight in the school and the principal just pretty much handled it?
Sure. You know, everything, we have things that changed here recently, have raised the age. You know, we've had fights in other schools. We've had fights in Harrisville. It really comes down to, obviously you're going to have the families involved, the parents. It really comes down to what they want. A lot of times there's not an arrest because of, they both would be arrested. If there's two kids that are just fighting, duking it out, it's a chance that both could be arrested if the families want to press charges. But once you tell them, hey, listen, if I arrest him, I got to arrest you, it usually goes away. And that's where the school steps in and they do suspensions or detentions and things like that. So there's only maybe over the last 4 years, maybe 2 or 3 arrests over fights. I know here in Harrisville in the South Louis, a lot of times staff will stand outside the doors and it kind of prevents things from happening. And the same with us walking around. So there's really not a lot of arrests for fights. It's usually destruction of properties you usually get the arrest from or a threat itself.
And we don't fight in Copenhagen. I have no idea why, but I've been here 38 years and there's been like 3 fights over that time. I don't know why our kids don't fight.
That's good.
It's because you're so intimidating, Mr. Connell.
Yes, I am. I have Gumby. I look like Gumby.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Schmidt? Very good. Thank you very much. We appreciate your input.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
You too. Okay, at this point, is there any other public comment? That would be, unless Brenda tells me to, we'll move on. Administrator's report, Mrs. O'Shaughnessy.
Hi, everybody. I'll do the same thing that I always do. And if you would like to stop me at any point, please feel free. Under student highlights, I just wanted to talk about this for a second. And I know it's really old news right now, but this event actually happened before our December board meeting. And that was that the seniors held their Christmas parade. I don't know if you got a chance to see it. It was really crazy short, as a matter of fact, but they did drive all the way around a large portion of the district. And I have to tell you that small event, just doing that one little drive with decorating their cars and their trucks, was an amazing morale booster for the kids. And as a matter of fact, the news coverage that was generated actually prompted a phone call from another school downstate who wanted to know how we did it and you know, wanted to pick my brain a little bit about that. So, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is that if there are ever any ideas that you hear from the community or that you have that you think maybe we could consider for our students as being ways to raise their spirits, we are completely open. You know, it's just been a tough go. It's been a tough go. We're excited to be actually thinking about maybe having some sports back on February 1st. You know, that might happen. Who knows? But they just, you know, we have a few kids who they need anything that we can give them at any time. So, you know, that one little action, having that parade was a really big deal, actually. So the next thing I wanted to highlight, and I set up my notes last week, and today I find out that just as I was kind of thinking would happen, we did all of our simulations for computer-based testing so that we would be ready. And today we hear that officially the state is going to request to do away with all the state testing. So we're ready in case they don't get denied. But, hey, the kids know what CBT is all about. They know what buttons to push, and they actually got to miss class for a period. So they aren't going to complain about that either. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is kind of a big deal as well. And that's under the technology goal. I don't know if you remember, but we placed a rather large order of Chromebooks way back in the summer. That order is actually going to get here soon. And it's really ironic because we've actually ordered another bunch of Chromebooks in the meantime that have already arrived. But it looks like our order is getting to the top of the queue, so we should be getting them instead of in a matter of months, in a matter of weeks. So that's a really big deal considering how long we've been waiting for them. And then finally, in upcoming events, I just wanted to mention that the I Am Little Red for high school is going to be happening this week. If any of you are interested in seeing what that's all about, that's part of the requirement from Aaron's Law, the new regulation. If any of you are interested in joining that, we are doing it virtually here at school. So if you'd like a link to kind of take a look at what that's all about, feel free, reach out, and we'll make sure to get you that link so that you can participate. It's on the 27th, first period in the morning. So it'll start probably around 8:10 and go until about 8:45 or so. So that's all I have that I highlighted on my report. Is there anything that's on there that you would have liked me to talk about or elaborate that I did not? Okay, thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Mrs. O'Shaughnessy. Mrs. Ratliff.
All right, I'm up. So thinking about my board report this month, it seems like things have taken a turn in the elementary, that we've gone from like survival mode to really focusing on academic achievement and how kids are doing. This month, we've completed universal screening in both reading and math. And as you may have read in my report, kids are making great progress, but they're still falling behind the benchmarks to where they are typically or where they should be at this time of year. And that's okay. I mean, they started behind. We have ways to catch up. We're going to have data chats on our next remote learning day. And during that time, we'll talk about just what we need to do to support those students that are struggling the most. We'll brainstorm interventions for the classroom, consider outside resources. As you may have read in my report as well, we have several student teachers coming, which will be a great help this time, and a few aides. And we may also refer them to Child Study Team, which has been revised and tweaked, and I think it's a thing. I think we're on our way to getting them back to where they need to be, and I think we're so much better off than most schools, but we're never okay with being just better than other schools. We just have to be better ourselves. So we're working on that. Other than that, I didn't really have anything in my notes to highlight, but I'm like Mrs. O'Shaughnessy, I'm open to any questions. All right, thank you.
Apparently not. So thank you, Mrs. Ratliff. Appreciate it. And it's nice to hear that even though we're a little behind, we're probably still better off. So that's always good news. So anyway, Mr. Connell, you're up.
Okay, taking off what we just said, I agree with that. And this past week was kind of a rough week. We had a few positive cases that shut down some rooms, and it was very frustrating because when you go through the contact tracing, it's just, it's a matter of 48 hours one way or the other. And you don't have to shut a room down. And then we had one where 2 parents were positive, but not the kids, but they're little. Didn't feel very comfortable not knowing, and the children hadn't been tested. The pediatrician asked them not to test. No need to test. You're living in a house with 2 positive parents and you're little, you're probably going to get it. So that was kind of frustrating. But then I do step back and say, a lot of schools are going Monday, Tuesday, and then they don't have school again till the following Monday. So, yes, we had to shut down for 4 days, but that's basically 2 weeks out of the school year for some schools. So that was rather comforting. And, all of the spread thus far has not been within the district. And I can't say with 100% certainty, because if someone's asymptomatic and they have it and they go home and, they give it to a parent so you can't say, because not everybody gets sick, but everything that we've done to this point, every bit of tracing has been documented back to either a parent or a group gathering or something outside of school. And I got nervous this past week because 2 weeks ago, actually, we had a student in pre-K, 4-year-olds, and they're the ones most vulnerable. They don't mask all day long. They climb all over each other and was really nervous that was going to be our first spread in school. And it was not. That class has now been back for a week. They're at 14 days out. Anybody that was going to be sick would have been sick by now. So that was comforting. And then we have a teacher who is the most ultra cautious teacher we have. I mean, she masks all the time. She, her husband works from home. They get groceries delivered to them. They're just, because she has an elderly family that, she's protective of. So she said she had symptoms. She was nervous. And I'm like, okay, here we go. Because the only place she could have gotten this was in school. And I shouldn't say that. Obviously, there's other places. But the chances are, if she was positive, it would have come from school. So I got her a rapid test, and it was negative. And of course, she was thrilled, and I was too, because I thought here's going to be our first spread in the building. So again, so far so good. Yes, we lost 4 classrooms, but everybody is back now. Correct? Yes, everybody is back. Starting tomorrow, we'll have our 5th graders back, and everybody will be back. Continue. I did mention about the snow day last Wednesday. Going to bed Tuesday night, getting ready to shut my phone off, got a message we had a positive case, and there was no way that we were going to be able to contact trace that, just because people aren't going to answer their phone at 9:00 at night. So we have 7 snow days. To go remote right then wasn't something I wanted to do. So we did take a snow day. I did send out information that it really wasn't a snow day, although we were not going to go remote. But I let people know that, we did have a positive case. We wanted to track it, err on the side of caution, and just shut down for the day. So we still have 5 snow days left. It's almost the end of February. Generally, at this point, we usually have 3, maybe 4, and I'm starting to get nervous. We still have 5 left. And the weather tomorrow isn't supposed to start till 8:00 in the morning. So probably going to be okay with that too. So that's a good thing. Continue to meet with public health. Met again today. I'll talk a little bit about that after. Nadine touched on sports. The way the governor works, he did it again Friday afternoon during his comment session on Friday, and didn't say a thing about sports. Spoke for about an hour and a half, like he always does at 11:30 on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Didn't say a thing about sports, and then at 2:30, it gets released to the media. And we all found out because the paper and television was calling us, saying, hey, I hear sports are going on. We're like, had no idea. I called John Rathburn at Section 3. I said, there's sports? He goes, what are you talking about? I said, the health department has now allowed high-risk winter sports. So, again, he likes to do things on Friday afternoon to stir the pot, I think, a little bit. But so it's been kind of a scramble since then. Again, applaud Lewis County for what they're doing. We are already, we've met, we have plans in place. We're going to, again, everything changes, but as of right now, we're going to try and start on the 1st. We're going to have no spectators, potentially maybe for senior night. We would bring in just senior parents, but no spectators. We're going to play in pods, so we'll only be playing schools in Lewis County, similar to what we did in the fall. We plan on testing, not official yet. We gave them the numbers that we anticipate, the number of tests we anticipate we'll need for the year, and they're going to see if they can acquire them. We really didn't want to test for 3 weeks and then have them run out of tests. So we're hopefully going to be able to test once a week. Our kids and our nurse is already ready. They had to be trained because of the yellow, orange, and red zone. So they're all trained to test. So what we plan on doing is testing once a week. It's not perfect. Obviously, there's false positives and false negatives. But I do think it's comforting to know that when athletes from Beaver River, South Louis, Harrisville, and Lowville come to our school, we can be pretty sure that there's no one positive in that group. So that is our plan, again, as of right now. That's what we plan on doing. There's still talk about potential for Fall 2 to take place. I don't think we'll participate in Fall 2. We already had our full fall season, but the other schools that play football are interested in continuing that. So I'm not sure what our winter will look like, if we'll be able to extend it a little bit. And we're making some changes in scheduling that will probably be playing Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday, boys and girls, giving 48 hours in between every game. So in case there is a positive case and we have to trace, then we're going to, have a separation of time and maybe not lose everybody on that contact trace. So that's the plan for that. Not sure, right now, again, this just happened Friday, but it's looking like St. Lawrence County and probably most of Jefferson County is not going to play. So we're going to probably hear the naysayers like they are smarter than we are. And we kind of lost that battle in the fall because we only got 4 games in before we had to shut down. But no kids got sick and we got 4 games in. So if it happens again and we get 4 more games in, those 4 games also equate into about 15 practices. And that was the most exciting part. And I think I probably shared this with you. It was watching the kids' excitement being able to go to practice. Games were games, and, the sportsmanship that you witnessed on the field, because there's no league championship, there's no sectional play. The kids just played and they actually got along with each other from other schools. It was really cool. So I think we'll probably see the same thing that we saw in the fall. We'll play until something happens and we have a case and we have to shut down. So that's the plan for that. Project's still moving along. Everything outside is pretty much shut down for the winter. They will be bringing the dugouts early February, what we're told right now. They have been doing some surveying up there, and the crane operator came to school the other day to try to get the logistics of where he's going to put the crane in to set them down. Other than that, everything else outside is set down. Sound system, scoreboards, landscaping, that'll all take place when the weather breaks. Indoors, our lighting's complete. Walk-off grates are almost done. The front door is in. I'm not sure if it's operational yet. I know that they were working on the button that you push, but the cameras are set up. And it's certainly, for anybody that ever came through that front door, you had to be pretty strong to open it. Now, even if you don't use the handicap button, it's still much lighter and much easier to open. And the storefront down by where Dale Clark's office is, that was always a problem, that whole area was cold because there was really no insulation. That's been completed as well. And we have 2 new cameras. The little area by the cooler between the gym and the cafeteria now has surveillance. And the area in front of the kitchen door and looking up the stairs towards Nadine's office now has surveillance as well. And we're going to be putting in more as time goes on, but those were the most critical ones. And that is all I have. If you have any questions, I would love to entertain them. And I do have a couple of discussion items and some executive sessions.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Connell at this point? Very good. Thank you, Mr. Connell. We'll move on to new business. Superintendent recommends the approval of the acceptance of resignation of Ashley Elias.
So move.
Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Appointment of Carmen Fuller as temporary lunch aide.
So move. Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Appointment of Andy Closter as night cleaner.
So move.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Accept the resignation of Andy Closter as night cleaner.
So move.
Second.
Second.
I was just wondering if we didn't approve the first one, would we have to approve the second one? Anyway. We'll let that go. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approve the creation of the school business manager position.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? Hi, Scott.
We'll talk later too about a little bit about that. That it has to be created. Scott did take the civil service test and got a 95, placed first on the test. So
Just squeak it through.
we have to create the position before we can appoint him to. We have to create the civil service position before we can appoint him to the position. So that's the reason that's on there. I think he might have. I don't know. I mean.
It was open book, I heard. So,
We took the liberty of taking the notice that I got back and posting it on the refrigerator for all to see. I was real pleased.
I put a red star and said, "I'm proud of you, son." My mom used to do that, but whenever I took the test, I always put it on the refrigerator.
all right. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. This next one's a little bit awkward, but a resolution.
So move. Second.
Any discussion? Anybody wants to kick me off of that thing? It's easy to do. You just don't vote. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'll abstain.
You're muted, Lynn.
Oh, I got muted. My touchpad is really fussy. Yeah.
So moved.
Good.
Second.
I don't have. So if I just move my lips without making sound, you'll think I'm muted again?
You're lip reading, you're not wearing a mask.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Forgot. Any questions, discussion about those policies? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the substitute nurse daily rate, $105 a day.
So
So
move.
move. From.
Questions or comments?
What's it going from? Do we know?
Mr. Cooper, do you have the answer to that? Oh, am I muted? What was the nurse's daily substitute rate prior to
$100.
$5 more?
Okay.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the contract for health and welfare services between Copenhagen and Laos. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Same thing, contract with Beaver River.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the substitutes.
So move.
Second.
Any questions, comments? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Recommendations from section 504 and preschool special ed. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion items, Mr. Connell.
So I have two. First, a vaccine update. I know that I had sent out a question to ask if any of you would like to be vaccinated, and I did get that back, and I appreciate it. But as soon as I sent it, I think the next day they went from originally it went from they were going to come here and do it. Then that changed on a Friday, and when they got their allotment of vaccines, they were told that they had to offer that to everybody in 1B. They couldn't single out one group, teachers, for instance. So that's when everybody here scrambled to try to get an appointment in one of those first 3 days, being told that if you didn't get one, they were going to do the same thing the next week, and they were going to get 500 every week. Then they decided to change to a regional SUNY campuses, SUNY field houses to do it that way. So Potsdam, Syracuse, and Utica Tech were the three closest to us. Some of our teachers have got appointments there. Then we got an email that they got 100 in, and they gave us eight spots of that 100. I'm not sure how they figured that out. I don't know if Lowville and the bigger schools got more than 8. I'm not really sure. And it wasn't just us. It was, police, anybody that was in 1B. So that's what they did. I got an email today that they're expecting more in Lewis County. How many people we did not have vaccinated so far. And counting you, there's 20 that got back to me and said that they hadn't been. So once we hear how many they're getting this week, I will, unfortunately, you guys will get last crack at them. I'm going to want to get them to the people that are in front of kids all the time. But if we get our full allotment of 20 or whatever they give us, I will certainly get a hold of you. Brenda's going to make just badges that say it administrator on them. That's, you have to have some proof that you actually work in a school. I don't understand sometimes how they pick who's essential and who's not essential. I mean, they at the very beginning in the 1As, they gave them to OT, PT, speech pathologists. And I think the reason for that was they were assuming those people work in hospitals, but we were allowed to let our people do it too. And our people here are no different than teachers. So why did they get it before the regular teachers got it? So, and same thing with board, but I think it's nice. You guys, I know you make a lot of money for what you do, but a little perk once in a while to maybe get something is a good thing. So if that list opens up that we get more, then I will certainly contact you and we'll make that happen. The second thing that I want to talk about is I've never been in favor of naming things at a school or anywhere after people. And I know we did it here. I didn't happen to be here when we did it before. And it puts a lot of pressure on a board of education or on a superintendent or whoever is deemed to decide that that's the person that it should be named after. And I would like to make a board policy that, we do not name things after people, because I think once this field opens up, we're going to have numerous people that feel deserving of having the field named after them. And I don't want to be the one to say, well, you're more important than you, so we're going to name it after you. And then it makes me feel yucky. So we can put something together if you'd like to do that. So, and I think anything, naming gyms and, at the time it probably seems right, and the person you name it after probably is well deserving of it. But I think it causes more problems than making that person feel special. So
Can't we get sponsors like Town Talk or Town Talk Field?
Yeah, I think if like Carrier Dome, if they paid enough money to actually construct it, then
The new dollar
then
store
okay.
might.
Yeah, I mean, like if somebody wants to build us a science wing for a few $1 million, to me, that's not naming something after somebody that's either deceased or, no, if somebody's going, if they want to build the field for us, absolutely. But I would like to, we're going to hopefully put it on the scoreboard, and it's called Stupid Field. That's where we're going to field, stupid field, because that's what everybody says to me. Yeah, you paid for that stupid field. Everybody's saying that, so why don't we just name it Stupid Field and get it over with? But no, I'm just kidding. So anyway, if anybody's really opposed to that, let me know sometime, and we can figure something out. But I don't want to be part of making a decision on who that field should be named after, because we have a lot of very worthy people. I mean, we have 2 female coaches that have won state championships. We have longtime coaches that have been there. We have, a baseball coach who's, won more games in baseball than anybody else in our district. There's a lot of people worthy of probably thinking that, so then when we pick one of those 4 or 5 people, what does that say to everybody else? And I don't want to be part of that. So, all right, enough said on that. We'll make a policy not to name it after anybody.
Sounds good.
Wait a minute.
Well, it's sitting on top of a field that was named, so
Right. And that,
it gets tricky. So
yeah. The other thing too, we would be willing to after. I think who's up this year? You and Bob. So if you two are willing to run for the board again, then we'll talk about that.
nope.
We can let them have.
We could just set up some sort of plaque up there, that you put that people like Hall of Fame plaque that you thing on that's up there that recognizes people like the last name that was on the field and all these other people you're mentioning.
Great. That's a great point. And we have a press box now that we could do that. I know we did that with Ryan and the benches.
Yeah.
Something like that would be neat. That's a great point.
With room to add future.
Sure.
Yep.
That's all I got. I do have executive session though, so.
Anything else for discussion items? Anybody?
Lynn, just an idea about getting out the superintendent's evaluation. We're almost into February, so instead of doing it in May or June. So just a thought.
Before his next mess up.
Just skip it. Oh.
Yeah, I thought of it today, actually, but I appreciate you bringing that up, and we'll the same format as last year, and we'll get that out right away. Very good. Thank you. I guess we're ready for an executive session then, Mr. Connor?
We are.
All right, a motion to go into executive session.
Second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Opposed?
Adam,
Bye,
shut up.
everybody.
Bye, good night.
Good night.
Good night. Thanks.